the James Webb Space Telescope detected something impossible: artificial light from an object that didn't originate here. This is 3I Atlas. It emits heat from within, pulses with structured rhythms, and features a surface of polished metal. Its trajectory is too precise. Its materials defy our science. And when we sent a radio message, it answered deliberately. We are no longer observing a rock. We are observing technology. The James Webb Space Telescope detected artificial light coming from 3I Atlas, an interstellar object moving through our solar system. This wasn't reflected sunlight or natural emissions. Webb's instruments found controlled light output in specific wavelength bands, thermal signatures radiating from within, and a metallic surface approaching the reflectivity of polished metal. The object pulses with structured patterns, adjusts its emissions in real time, and recently changed its trajectory deeper into our solar system without any natural explanation. 3I Atlas entered our solar system as the third confirmed interstellar visitor after Oumuamua and Borisov. Unlike its predecessors, this object immediately stood out. Its brightness didn't match its estimated size or composition. It shimmered with unnatural consistency, neither fading as expected nor flaring with signs of outgassing or dust release. While traditional comets brighten in bursts as ice sublimates, 3I Atlas remained steady, as if powered from within. The James Webb Space Telescope sits 1 million miles from Earth at the Lagrange point, designed to see through stellar glare and reveal hidden details in infrared. When Webb turned toward 3I Atlas, its instruments detected centralized thermal emission that didn't correlate with any natural reflection of sunlight. A comet typically shines from the sun's rays bouncing off dust and ice, but 3I Atlas showed an internal heat signature radiating from its core outward. This wasn't scattered light, it was emitted light. The thermal mapping revealed patterns following no known distribution curve of natural objects. It pulsed faintly and irregularly at intervals. The rhythm, repeating ever so subtly, suggested not randomness, but design. NASA and European Space Agency scientists proposed exotic explanations, including radioactive decay, subsurface friction, and alien isotopes. As more data arrived, those theories collapsed. The only consistent explanation remaining was that this object might be powered. Data from Webb, Hubble, and terrestrial observatories built a profile of 3I Atlas that looked nothing like any known celestial body. Its trajectory proved too precise to be chaotic, as if choosing its path and subtly adjusting course through gravity wells. Its rotation remained unnaturally stable, with a tumbling motion that defied standard inertial drift. The lack of a cometary tail, even when passing near solar radiation, suggested a shell or casing protecting it from heat. The most controversial finding came from albedo measurements. Parts of the surface showed reflectivity approaching that of polished metal. Not rock, not ice, not dust. Metal. If it was metallic, structured, and emitting energy, astronomers were no longer observing a natural object. They were observing technology. The terms probe, beacon, craft, and artifact began circulating in institutional emails behind encrypted firewalls. Photometric analysis revealed the most damning evidence. Light from 3I Atlas focused in narrow spectrum bands. This wasn't broad natural reflection of sunlight, but controlled emission of specific wavelengths, precisely what we use in LED arrays, laser communication systems, and spacecraft signal beacons. These bands included frequencies often used in Earth communication and guidance systems. The intensity responded slightly to solar radiation, as though an onboard system adjusted in real time. The object flickered not randomly, but with strange intermittent pulses. Astronomers ran the data through known signal models. Results proved inconclusive, but not meaningless. Some claimed the pulses resembled binary sequences. Others suggested a rotating power source. The conclusion was undeniable. This was not a passive object. It was doing something deliberate. A team from MIT and Harvard ran deep signal analysis on the electromagnetic emissions. Fourier transforms isolated cyclical patterns within apparent static. Buried beneath the chaos emerged a structured repeating pulse too precise to be natural. It wasn't standard binary or typical modulation used in human technology, but it bore the unmistakable fingerprint of intentional encoding. Some speculated it could be a beacon, a repeating broadcast for receivers not of earthly origin. Others theorized telemetry, a constant data stream sent back to its origin point. The unsettling part was that the message hadn't changed since Webb first detected it. 3I Atlas wasn't trying to talk to us, but to someone else. And maybe that someone had already heard it. News spread quickly through scientific and defense institutions. A confidential NASA report, later leaked to an unnamed journalist, revealed top officials coordinating with global space agencies to determine whether 3I Atlas posed a threat. Some scientists argued it was benign, an ancient probe centuries old on a pre-programmed route. Others raised darker questions. If it's transmitting, who is receiving? If it has light emissions, does it also have propulsion? If it's here by design, why now? The report mentioned the possibility that 3I Atlas was not just passing through, but observing. It might be tracking planetary alignments, electromagnetic fields, or even advanced civilizations. If this object wasn't alone, something else might be on the way. Something that sent it. Investigation into the luminosity led to a revolutionary hypothesis. The object wasn't just emitting energy, it was harvesting it. The way light output fluctuated with proximity to the sun, combined with apparent lack of chemical reactions, supported the idea of a solar collection array or photonic absorption system beneath its surface. A group of theorists postulated the dust cloud served dual functions as camouflage for its artificial structure and as a medium to absorb solar radiation. If true, 3I Atlas would be a self-sustaining craft designed for indefinite deep space travel, refueling at each star. This aligns with theoretical models of interstellar probes that remain dormant for centuries, activating only when reaching systems worth investigating. If our solar system triggered that activation, the message was received. International space agencies scrambled while one truth became clear. We are not ready. Despite decades of speculation about extraterrestrial contact, our political, scientific, and philosophical systems remain unequipped to process what 3I Atlas might represent. No official statements emerged, but leaked documents from France, Japan, and Brazil hinted at similar conclusions. This object might not be an anomaly, but a first encounter in slow motion. Unlike Hollywood depictions, there was no landing, no sudden appearance, no immediate answers. Only data, only light, only silence. Webb continues observing the object daily. Every answer raises two more questions. If this is contact, it's on their terms, not ours. Quiet, distant, unsettling. What we're witnessing may not be an invitation, but surveillance. We may have already been seen. Just when astronomers believed 3I Atlas had settled into predictable trajectory, its luminosity spiked dramatically. This wasn't gradual increase from solar proximity. The object brightened by nearly 40% in under 2 minutes, then stabilized at the new elevated level. No natural explanation fit. No solar wind interaction. No impact event. No fragmentary disintegration. It was as if someone or something had flipped a switch. The flare wasn't just visible. It carried changes in the thermal signature, almost as if systems had powered on. Theorists proposed this object had entered an awakened phase, triggered either by proximity to our star or by our observations. If this flare was intentional, it was meant to be seen. Shortly after the anomalous brightening, orbital calculations from multiple agencies detected something else. 3. I-Atlas no longer followed its projected path precisely. It had shifted slightly, but measurably. Gravity alone couldn't account for the alteration. Solar radiation pressure didn't add up either. This shift was deliberate. More unsettling was where the new trajectory pointed. Deeper into the solar system with adjusted inclination, bringing it closer to Earth's orbital plane. The object was no longer just passing through. It had changed lanes. Some scientists called it a gravitational anomaly. Others saw it as a maneuver, a course correction no comet or rock had ever made. If 3 I-Atlas was capable of even limited propulsion or navigation, we were no longer observing a relic, but a vessel in motion. A vessel with intent. Spectroscopic instruments aboard Webb and Hubble detected elements raising more red flags. Traces of highly reflective alloys, rare earth elements, and most shockingly, spectral absorption lines resembling compounds never before catalogued in our periodic table. These weren't materials found in frozen chunks of interstellar rock. They were engineered or synthesized under conditions not known to exist naturally. One spectral profile matched no known chemical process, but closely resembled theoretical compounds proposed in quantum material labs. Substances thought to exist only under intense magnetic fields or quantum confinement. This implied either unfathomable age, predating human civilization by millennia, or highly advanced recent manufacture by a civilization far beyond our own. The materials themselves spoke louder than any signal. Even if we couldn't decode the message, the messenger was unnatural. With mounting evidence of non-natural origin, governments reacted not publicly, but with unmistakable urgency. Encryption levels increased on observatory networks. Research teams were quietly reassigned. Sudden, unexplained surges in satellite recalibrations occurred across multiple continents. Spacefaring nations initiated discrete contingency discussions behind closed doors. One leaked document from an international defense consortium suggested 3 I-Atlas might not be a lone visitor, but a scout. The unusual structure, stable rotation, and apparent capability to remain operational across interstellar distances indicated design consistent with long-term observation probes. If it was scouting, what was it looking for? What might come next? Across universities, observatories, and military command centers, one terrifying consensus formed. We were no longer alone in the universe. First contact might not be a conversation, but an evaluation. As speculation reached boiling point, a team at the SETI Institute took the risk no one else would. They transmitted a focused radio pulse directly toward 3 I-Atlas's projected location. The message contained universal mathematical constants, the periodic table, and basic visual representations of humanity. A cosmic handshake, a cautious hello. Days passed, then a week. No response. Just when the experiment was about to be archived as another unanswered call, a monitoring station in Chile registered something strange. A narrow band return pulse, off frequency, distorted but unmistakably timed to mirror the original message. It wasn't a reply in language. It wasn't an echo. It was a ping, a return signal with just enough variance to imply it wasn't passive reflection. It had been processed and sent back. What shook the SETI team most wasn't the signal, but the timing. The response came precisely 72 hours after transmission, to the second. Something had received our message, calculated the delay, and answered deliberately. Following detection of the return ping, observatories worldwide began experiencing technical anomalies. Webb's infrared instruments showed erratic thermal mapping for the first time since launch. Hubble's gyroscopic sensors registered microfluctuations despite stable orientation. Ground-based telescopes experienced what were initially dismissed as software glitches. Misaligned star charts, inexplicable pixel distortions, and frozen data streams occurred precisely when focused on 3 IY Atlas. These glitches didn't happen randomly. They occurred in synchronized windows as if coordinated, as if someone or something didn't want us looking too closely. A theory emerged from a black ops think tank within the European Space Agency. The object wasn't just emitting signals, it was jamming us, interfering selectively. A passive visitor doesn't hide its identity. A scout does. If the object actively managed what we could see and when, we weren't watching it. We were being allowed to. Then, silence. Within days of the signal event and technical malfunctions, updates from Webb were delayed, restricted, eventually rerouted. Public logs became inaccessible. The European Space Agency released vague statements about instrument recalibration. NASA stopped commenting. Reputable journals covering 3I Atlas closely began retracting stories or publishing neutral summaries devoid of detail. The astrophysics community split. Some believed agencies were validating the discovery before going public. Others believed something darker. The truth had already been confirmed and was now being contained. Remaining independent observatories released raw data streams to the public, quickly drowned in misinformation and speculation. What was once a global scientific mystery had become a strategic asset. History shows what happens when governments declare discoveries classified. Truth dies in silence. In a last-ditch effort to understand their observations, astronomers and mathematicians turned to pattern recognition and probability theory. They weren't looking for communication anymore, but proof of intent. They discovered the most terrifying pattern of all. The object's path through the solar system, while seemingly natural, mirrored a Fibonacci arc when plotted against planetary positions. An ancient spiral of proportional beauty found throughout nature and coincidentally in many Earth-based communication protocols. The timing, of course, corrections, light flares, and even the ping response correlated with prime number sequences. The odds of this occurring naturally are astronomically low. These patterns were chosen. 3I Atlas wasn't just flying through the solar system. It was navigating with mathematical precision, following a map or schedule. A few theorists whispered the unthinkable. This might not be an interstellar probe, but an interstellar message made not of sound or symbols, but of behavior. We just decoded the first word. As the dust of confusion settles, one truth remains impossible to ignore. 3I Atlas was never just a rock. From unnatural light emission to the return signal, from rare materials to calculated trajectory changes, every piece points to a single uncomfortable conclusion. We have not been alone for a very long time. Perhaps we were never meant to know. The James Webb Space Telescope, built to peer into the birth of galaxies, may have instead caught something designed to look back. Something ancient, deliberate, and watching. Not from a distant star system, but from the threshold of our own celestial neighborhood. Yet silence reigns. Agencies refuse to speak. Data is withheld. The world has been deemed not ready. But we saw the light. We tracked the path. Now we ask the question that terrifies even the most rational minds. What happens next? Was 3I Atlas simply passing through, cataloguing our world before continuing? Or was it the first of many, a probe leading the way for something greater, waiting for a signal to move forward? It may not matter whether 3I Atlas was machine or something else entirely. What matters is that it came, it saw, and it responded. Now somewhere in the cold, endless dark, something may be turning attention toward the blue planet that blinked first. The countdown has perhaps already begun. The universe once again reminds us we are not the center. We are the observed,